Theory of everything sketch, as it combines standard mathematical notation E3, nabla, with non-standard logic. Here is an interpretation of the linear binary pre-state universe equation, broken down stage by stage, reading from left to right. Phase 1. The pre-state, the void. Text. Linear binary pre infinity. The box on the left sets the stage. It represents the state before the universe existed as we know it. Linear binary. This likely refers to the fundamental duality of the system, something versus nothing, or 0 vs 1, arranged in a sequential linear timeline. Pre-infinity. A state before the concept of infinity or counting applies. It is the absolute potential. Phase 2. Dimensional emergence, the bracketed zeros. The sequence 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 represents the universe booting up or unfolding dimensions. It moves from a dense void into specific geometry. Step 1. The singularity. Visual. 0, 0, 0. Symbols, infinity and dot, sim, possibly a variable for flux or motion. Interpretation. This is the undifferentiated void. It contains infinite nothingness. The three zeros might represent zero dimensions, a point having infinite potential density. Step 2. The emergence of space. Visual. 0, 0. Symbols, E3 and nabla nabla del. Interpretation. E3. In mathematics, this stands for three-dimensional Euclidean space. This is the moment space is created. Nabla, nabla. This operator is used in calculus for gradients and divergence, how things flow or change in space. This implies the static void, 0, 0, 0, has begun to move and expand geometrically. Step 3. The spark of change. Visual. 0. Symbols, delta, delta and sim. Interpretation. Delta is the universal symbol for change or difference. The universe has moved from space 0, 0 to a state where change is possible 0, setting the clock for time to begin. Phase 3. The manifest universe, the numbers. Visual. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Interpretation. This represents linear time and matter. Once the zero states resolve, we get the counting numbers. This is the reality we live in, a world of distinct, countable objects, sequential time, and physical laws. It is the linear aspect mentioned in the title. Phase 4. The collapse cyclical return. The sequence ends with a return to brackets, suggesting the universe does not go on forever but cycles back or transforms. Step 1. Curvature and cycles. Visual. 0. Symbols. Pi and x, x equals input. Interpretation. The linear numbers 1 to 9 hit a limit. Pi is related to circles and cycles. This could represent the universe curving back on itself, or linear time becoming cyclical. Step 2. The exit. Visual. 0, 0. Symbols. Infinity and x, x equals input. Interpretation. A return to the higher dimensional state. The finite numbers dissolve back into infinite potential. Summary of the theory. This equation proposes that the universe is a binary system that processes linear information. It starts as a potential void 0, 0, 0. It gains spatial dimensions E3. It gains the temporal change delta. It plays out as linear reality 1 to 9. It eventually curves back via cyclical geometry, pi into the infinite. X equals input. If x is a variable placeholder for new calculations, then this isn't just a map of the universe's history, it is a functional algorithm or a processing engine. It implies that the linear binary universe runs a sequence from 0 to 9, and at the end of that sequence, it pauses to accept an external input, x, before resolving into the final state. Here is the updated analysis of the output phase based on x being an input field. The calculation gate the right side. Instead of a passive death of the universe, the right side of the diagram acts as a terminal or interface. 1. The cyclic input 0. Symbol, pi. Operator x input. Interpretation. This stage represents the geometry of the input. Since pi represents cycles, circles, and infinite non-repeating complexity, placing an input x here suggests that whatever calculation you add defines the curvature or frequency of the next phase. You aren't just adding a number, you are defining the shape of the reality that follows the linear sequence 1 to 9. 2. The magnitude input 0, 0. Symbol, infinity. Operator x input. Interpretation. This stage represents the scale of the input. Here, x interacts with infinity. This suggests that the calculation inserted here determines the scope or duration of the resulting state. Is the result finite, or does it expand forever? The value of x determines that limit. The revised system logic. With x as an input, the equation functions like a computer program or a cosmic feedback loop. Boot left. The pre-universe exists as raw binary potential pre infinity. Initialize center left. Space E3 and change delta are defined. Run center. The linear reality plays out steps 1 through 9. Prompt right. The system reaches the end of the linear sequence and pauses for input x. Result far right. The post-state pre infinity with the caret is generated based on how x modified the original parameters. A thought on the calculation. Since this follows the linear numbers 1 to 9, the x input might be the 10th step, the synthesized result of the previous numbers, or a seed required to restart the cycle.